Hi, it's Lawyer Vince, and welcome back to How to Convince. Today, we're talking about one of the most important communication skills you'll ever learn: how to stay cool when things get heated. If you've ever had a pulse spike in an argument, found yourself snapping back, or walked away wishing you'd handled it better, this episode is for you. Because staying calm isn't about being passive, it's about keeping your power. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, links in the description, and join the newsletter. That's where you can send in your questions and be featured in the Q&A at the end of each episode. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the obvious question. Why is it so hard to keep our cool when we're triggered? It usually comes down to two things. One, a perceived threat to our status, respect, or safety. When someone disrespects you, talks over you, or pushes your buttons, your brain sees it as a social threat. That's why you feel the same physical reaction as if you were in danger. Your heart rate jumps, your breathing gets shallow, and your adrenaline kicks in. Two, learned patterns. If you grew up in an environment where arguments were loud, chaotic, or even unsafe, your nervous system learned to go into fight or flight at the first sign of conflict. I had a client, I'll call her Andrea, who grew up in a house where shouting was the default. She'd be perfectly fine in a meeting until someone interrupted her. And then it was like a switch flipped. Her voice would rise, her shoulders would tense, and even if she didn't yell, the tension would take over. And here's the truth. That physical reaction is normal, but it doesn't have to run the show. Calm is a skill, and like any skill, you can train it. This is the process I teach my clients to stay calm and in control when things get heated. Step one, buy yourself time. When you feel triggered, don't try to win the moment in the moment. Physically slow down. Stop talking for 2 seconds. Take one slow breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. That pause is your reset button. Step two, lower your volume. Most people match the other person's tone and volume, and that is a big mistake. Lowering your voice forces the other person to lean in, and it signals you're not here to fight. You're here to lead the conversation. Step three, use neutral words. Instead of saying you're being disrespectful, which will make someone feel defensive, say, I want to finish my point. Then I'm happy to hear yours. You're setting a boundary without adding fuel. Step four, anchor your body language. Sit back in your chair. Keep your chin level. Maintain steady eye contact. Your words won't matter if your body says you're ready to pounce. And step five, exit with control. If you need to step away, own it. Say, I want to finish this conversation when we can both think clearly. So let's circle back in 10. You're not running away. You're settling terms. Calm isn't about pretending you're not upset. It's about deciding your reaction based on your goal, not your emotion. When you lose your cool, you're letting the other person set the terms. When you keep your cool, you're in control of the outcome. Think about the courtroom. I can't yell at opposing counsel, no matter how absurd their argument is. If I do, the jury stops listening to my facts and starts judging my behavior. It's the same in real life. You don't win heated moments by overpowering, you win by outlasting. Here are a few advanced techniques I use and what I teach my clients. Tactic number one, the mental replay drill. Think of the last time you got triggered. Replay it in your head, but imagine yourself staying calm the entire time. Lower your voice, relax shoulders, controlled tone. Your brain learns from mental rehearsal almost as well from real life. Tactic two, the one-liner buffer. Have one phrase ready for when you need to slow things down. For example, let's stick to one point at a time. Or, I want to make sure I understand before I respond. These slow the pace and puts you back in control. Tactic three, pre-commit to calm. Before a high-stakes conversation, decide, no matter what's said, I will not raise my voice. You'd be amazed how much easier it is to keep your cool when you've made the decision before you're in the fire. All right, now it's time for my favorite part, the Q&A. I love hearing from you guys, and that's what makes this part of the episode so special. Also, quick reminder, if you haven't already, subscribe to the newsletter using the link in the description and send in your questions. You might hear yours here next week. Question one. Hi, Lawyer Vince. I'd like to voice record meetings so I can quickly get a transcription for minutes. How do I request this in a one-on-one with a difficult staff member without making them defensive? Great question. Here's what you do. Lead with transparency, not surprise. Say, to make sure I don't miss any details, I'd like to record our meeting for my notes. You're framing it as your tool for accuracy, not a way to catch them slipping. And give them a reason to feel safe. Make it clear it's for both of your benefit. Say, that way we both have an exact record of what was discussed. Question 2. You mentioned staying calm and not getting louder. That's the difficult part for me. I've always been triggered by dysfunctional family dynamics and find it extremely hard not to be triggered by someone rude, pushy, or talking over me. I've lived with this for years. Look, first, I hear you. If you grew up in an environment where conflict was chaotic or unsafe, your body learned to treat it as an emergency. That's why your heart races, your voice rises, and it's your nervous system doing its job. Here's the process I recommend. Recognize the trigger early. Notice when your shoulders tense or your jaw tightens. That's your first cue to slow down. Anchor physically. Keep your feet flat on the floor and then lean back slightly. Your body sends a signal to your brain that you're not under threat. Delay your response. Even 3 seconds of silence can stop a reaction from becoming a regret. And if they're talking over you, calmly reclaim the floor. Say, I'd like to finish my point before we move forward. It's not about being unshakable from day one. It's about getting triggered less often and recovering faster each time. All right, question number 3. How do I tell my boss I'm overwhelmed without looking incompetent? Be honest but solution-oriented. Say, I'm at capacity with my current workload. Here's what's on my plate, and here's where I need your input to prioritize. This shows you're managing your work, not avoiding it. Question 4. What's a respectful way to say, that's not my job without sounding unhelpful? But you redirect without shutting the door. What you say is, that's outside my role, but I can point you to the right person who can help. You're holding a boundary while still offering value. Question 5. How do I stop someone from monopolizing a meeting without embarrassing them? Great question. Acknowledge, then redirect. Say, thanks for that, Mike. I'd like to hear from a few others before we move on. It keeps control of the meeting without making it personal. All right, that's it for questions this week. Here's your challenge of the week. Think of one situation when you usually lose your cool, and before it happens again, pick a one-liner you'll use to slow it down. Practice saying it out loud until it feels natural. If this episode helped you, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and join the newsletter. Links are all in the description. And comment, calm is power, so I know you made it to the end. And if you want personalized help staying calm in heated moments, I offer one-on-one coaching where we role play your real life scenarios until staying cool becomes your default. Spots are limited, but if you're serious, the link is in the bio. All right, that's it for today. This has been How to Convince with Lawyer Vince. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you same time next week.